This is the final installment to my 1990s Barbie collection update series. This video will be covering my Barbies with box dates of 1998 and 1999. I go by box date, not release date, in case you're wondering. This also just includes Barbie herself, not her friends, not her family. My collection has grown some in the 8.5 years since I posted my original video, which was filmed in December 2016. So if you want to see how that video compares to this one, feel free to check it out. I have every single doll in my collection documented completely on my Flickr, whether they're Barbies or something else. I have lots of interesting comparison photos of like all the clothes and accessories I have for them. Anything that I can tell you about the dolls I have it on there. I've spent thousands of hours, not exaggerating, working on my Flickr. I update it regularly. I mean, the most you're gonna have to wait to see a doll that I've recently acquired would maybe be a month if I have a lot going on and I'm doing research, but things are usually uploaded pretty quickly. I keep on top of it, so it's really up to date. Like, you're gonna have a pretty accurate version of like what my collection looks like today if you go on my Flickr. So if you're looking to identify your dolls, don't toggle back and forth through my video. That's just making your life more difficult. You can see like facial close-ups and know more about them looking at my Flickr. Everything is organized and you do not need a Flickr to view it. With that being said, not all of my dolls are perfect, not all of them are wearing the right outfits. Some of them have, had haircuts or body swaps and stuff, because the majority of my dolls are secondhand. Ever since I was little, I've had a passion for buying and rescuing and fixing up old dolls, and now that I'm an adult and I have like the skill to do it properly, it is my favorite pastime and my favorite thing about collecting dolls. So please keep that in mind, that these ladies are not perfect, but they're very loved. Without further ado, let's get into the video. Starting with 1998, Very Velvet Barbie. I got her in 2015 at the local flea market in a lot of dolls that we called the Bead Blast Barbie AA lot, because that was the doll I most wanted. They were in a tote, and some of them were naked, some of them had their original outfits. This girl was one of the newer ones. You can see I dressed her in an outfit that matched her headband. She's super sweet. Bath Boutique Barbie is really special. I got her in the 2011 quote Bratz Guy bin. It was this box of Bratz dolls that I saw one of the first few weeks of that flea market season during the spring, and I was so new to collecting dolls again that I didn't just buy the whole box, which nowadays I would have done in a heartbeat because they were $1 each. And when I decided I wanted to go back and buy the whole box the next weekend, the seller wasn't there, and we spent like the whole flea market season hoping to catch him, and finally in the fall we came upon him again, but the bin had been pretty picked clean and she was one of the leftovers. And I remember being so curious as to who she was, and I happened to already have the bathrobe. I did finally get the underwear, but I got those a lot more recently. We have 4 Beyond Pink Barbies. Only the one on the end here has her outfit. So my first lady I got in the 2012 Happy Family bin at the local flea market. She is in the worst condition. She has some like little chew marks on her feet, and she's super loose, and her earrings were pulled out. I bought the box because it had some Happy Family dolls, specifically Happy Family Grandma I wanted. My second lady, she's in really nice condition. I got her on opening day 2013 at the local flea market. She was from the quote-unquote 60 doll bin, which, as the name suggested, had around 60 dolls. And despite the fact that she didn't have her outfit, she has super nice hair. But the one next to her is perhaps in even better condition. She is shockingly from the Ken Suitcase lot of 2016. It was opening day that year at the flea market. Probably the best opening day ever. We found a huge green suitcase filled with what we later found out to be 86 salvageable dolls. Some were in completely horrifying condition. We were going to buy a few of them separately, but the seller made us an offer, I think, for like $25 for the whole suitcase. So we took it, and she was one of the newer dolls from the lot. Most of them were like much older than her, but she is in amazing condition. But my lady on the end here, she is in the best condition. I got her in 2017 from the quote Clueless lot at the flea market. It was a small box of dolls The guy originally wanted, I think, 20 for the box, so we were once again only going to hand pick some of the dolls, but he said we could have them all for 15 as we were buying some separately, and yeah, it was really exciting to finally get one with her outfit. We have Dolls of the World's Morocco Barbie. She is gorgeous. I got her a few years ago from one of the regular sellers at the flea market. They were an older couple that used to set up. Sadly, they've since retired, but they always had dolls at their table for reasonable prices, and she caught my eye because I love the Dolls of the World series. She's gorgeous. The Fashion Savvy Collection Barbie. I found her for $1 at the local flea market in the fall of 2013. Someone had a bunch of Barbies for $1, and they were in pretty rough shape, but I spotted New York Minute Ashley and Mary Kate, not in the right clothes, but I recognized them. And then as I was pondering buying them and a Wintertime Wonderland Eaton doll, I saw this Fashion Savvy Collection lady, and I just had to get her. We have Tie-Dye Barbie. She is from the 2016 Teresa lot, which we got in September that year. I always kind of confuse the dolls from that lot and the Kensuke bin because they were both like pretty huge lots, and we got them only like 6 months apart. She was in really nice condition. She came with her little pants. Florida Vacation Barbie. I had one of these growing up that I got as a Christmas gift when I was probably 7, I want to say, and my sister got Teresa, who we still have named Abby. They were from my Auntie Kim and Uncle Ray, who were my mom's best friends, but not long after we had a yard sale because my grandmother was going to move in with us, and I was always like obsessed with like having a certain number of dolls as a kid, and I had this like compulsive need to get rid of things, so I ended up getting rid of her at the yard sale. They didn't actually sell at the yard sale, but the things that I had set aside for the yard sale, my dad brought to a coworker the box of dolls for his daughter, so I always regretted that. I found her in 2011 at an indoor flea market at the very back of the building on a table for like $2. She even has her bracelets, and I was so excited because I had always regretted getting rid of her. I do wish I hadn't gotten rid of the one that was a gift. Fruit Fantasy Barbie. She's fantastic. I got her at an indoor flea market when I was probably about 13. I went through a real phase of buying boxed dolls, and I would put them in my room above my desk. And I loved how she smelled like strawberries. She has this really cool outfit. She has strawberry earrings, and I love the Mackie head mold. One of the most iconic lines of Barbie dolls of all time, for me personally, is Generation Girl. This first wave, I collected every doll from over the span of, I want to say, close to 2 years as a kid, because they were expensive. They were like $20 each. I had to save up my allowance money. It took forever. This is my childhood girl. I think she was my 3rd generation girl because she was really easy to find. I could be wrong. I know I had Chelsea, who I got for my birthday, Tori, who I got for Christmas. I think she was the first one I bought with my own money. I've since found her like nicer clothes. A lot of her stuff is pretty beat up. And then her friend next to her I got in 2011 from the Generation Girl bin, which, as the name suggests, there were Generation Girls in it. It was a really cold fall day, probably the last day we went to the flea market that year with Dad. I noticed a zipper case and a gallon-sized Ziploc next to it filled with dolls, and upon closer inspection I spotted all 6 of the original Generation Girls in the bag, and it was $10. There was also a bunch of other stuff, so I just had to get it. This lady next to her I got in 2014. She was in really bad shape. You can see her hair isn't as nice. She's got some little flyaway bits. But I did mate her with this outfit. She was just at a table. There were a few other dolls I wanted, and the seller said I could have all of them for a few bucks. So I just took her along for the ride. She is missing her thumbs, but we love her anyways. And my newest lady was a gift. I got her in the 2023 Wondrous Welly Wishers lot, which showed up at her door in February that year. This really kind person who sent me a lot before that, and then several cents, gifted me and my sister a huge box that, as the name suggests, there were Welly Wishers inside. And she was wearing a Tarzan Jane dress, which was totally unflattering, but she's actually in really nice condition, and I had an outfit for her. I believe this is my childhood dress. That was the only one I had left over. You can see it's kind of shabby. Giggles and Swing Barbie is another one that I owned as a kid that I got rid of, that I regretted getting rid of. So my childhood doll, I won a raffle for a vase at a family event that my mom wanted. She said if I won the raffle, then she would let me get a doll of my choosing. And I had really bad impulse control, so the first store I went into, which was Walmart, I saw the brand new Barbie and Kelly set, and I bought them because I thought my sister would like playing with the Kelly. I still have Kelly. Barbie I really loved. I used to dress her in Gypsy Dancing Esmeralda's dress. For some reason, I thought that that was a stellar combo. I'm not so sure about that. But then I ended up giving her away with Florida Vacation Barbie, and I was on the hunt for her ever since. I finally saw this one. It was sometime in the spring of 2012. It was the day I got my Tycho singing Ariel doll. So there was two of them the same day. Someone else had one at a booth separately. I can't remember if I got her at the booth or if I got her with Tycho singing Ariel, because I saw them like minutes apart. We have 1998 Holiday Sisters Barbie. This was a set that my dad bought me and my sister boxed at a flea market in the early 2000s. We loved collecting sister sets, and we were really obsessed with the cardboard Christmas tree that came with this particular set. I don't feel like the dolls themselves got played with as much, but I really have grown to appreciate Barbie as an adult. She's actually really pretty. We have Winter Splendor Barbie. She is from the Avon Avalanche lot of 2020. We found a bunch of these like Avon and collector type Barbies at the local flea market, and I was just going to buy Winter Moon Pocahontas, but the seller said we could have the whole group for $100, which is way more than we would normally pay, but because of the kinds of Barbies they were and the excellent quality they were, we bought them, and it ended up being about $6 per doll, not factoring in duplicated ones, and with duplicates it was about $4 a doll. I definitely think she is worth $6. She's absolutely gorgeous, and I remember cleaning up my cousin's now wife, her doll that she had growing up back in 2012, and I was super jealous. We have Little Zoo Pals Barbie. My sister and I found this set used at the local flea market inside the building as kids, and they weren't complete, but they were wearing parts of their outfits, and we knew they must go together. I still would love to get this set box because they come with like a cute little cow. We have my two Celtics Barbies. The one in this outfit, I've actually had this jacket since I was a kid. I just got it in some random used lot, and I was obsessed with playing with it on Fashion Pajamas Ashley for some reason, but the doll herself was wearing the uniform underneath. I got her, forget when, maybe 2012 or 2013 at the local flea market. I got to talking to one of the sellers. She had a few dolls at her booth, and when I asked her how much they cost, she let me have her and musician Melody for free, which was really nice. The lady next to her is from the Teresa lot of 2016, which she talked about. She's in better condition than my first lady. This is Miami Heat Barbie. I named her Cassie as a kid. I got her boxed at some indoor flea market during my kick of buying boxed dolls, and my sister really liked to play with her because she had the articulated legs. Sometimes she'd use her and share a Smile Becky's wheelchair, and I liked using this jacket as well on my Ashley doll. Soccer Barbie is from a thrift store, which we don't always have the best luck in, but sometimes every once in a while we'll find something cool. I got her in 2021 or 2022, and I recognized her little outfit. I remember seeing the ads for this line on television as a kid. My four Pretty in Plaid Barbies, I have the brunette, both blondes, and the redhead. This is actually the African American doll's outfit. She was my first. I got her in the 60 doll bin of 2013, which we talked about earlier. I thought she was really pretty because of her head mold. Then this lady is from the Ken suitcase bin, and I actually was going to, I saw this outfit floating around in the suitcase, and when we were going to buy dolls separately, I had put this dress on another doll. She's actually in really nice condition, and when we ended up buying the whole suitcase, I spotted Barbie herself. Those dolls were generally speaking not in the best shape, but she's like brand new. And then this lady I got in the Teresa lot not long after, and I can't tell them apart. This one has like closer facial features that are wider and darker, and her outfit was actually in the bin too. She was one of the few from that lot that had a real outfit. And the lady over here is from the $5 bin bonanza of 2017. It was pretty early on into the season that year, and we found a purple tub filled, like, overflowing. It was a huge bin. It was overflowing with dolls, and they stank, like, strongly of cigarettes, but it was $5 for the huge tub, and it was just too good of a deal to resist. And she was one of the older dolls in the bin. Most of them were a lot newer than that. We have Princess Barbie from 1998. My girl on the left here is from the $60 doll bin. She's in really nice condition, and she's definitely the kind of doll I would have loved growing up. And the girl next to her is from the Teresa lot. She's quite a bit shabbier. I've had to boil wash her hair a bunch of times. And I reunited them both with this outfit, which is actually repackaged on 1999 Rapunzel. Mary had a little lamb Barbie. Oh, I had wanted her for years. I just thought she was fantastic. I love her head mold. I love her hair. I love the fact that she came with a lamb. I work on a farm, and I do a lot with lambs in the springtime, so I feel very bonded to this Barbie. And I got her boxed at the local flea market. I think it was in 2019. She would always have, and she still sets up, but she sets up inside the flea market now. But back then she set up with her grandson outside, and they would always have an assortment of, like, some newer Barbies that they got from clearance at stores, and then some out-of-date ones, which according to her came from, like, an attic or something. And I think she was maybe $9, which is an amazing deal. We have 3 Sleeping Beauty dolls. So this is the original version, and these 2 are the simplified KB Toys versions. Now, growing up, I got one of these, not this exact doll, but a KB Toys Sleeping Beauty. I got one for my 9th birthday in 2000. I got her at the mall with 1999 Rapunzel, who was one. They were both 2 of my favorite dolls. I was obsessed with her, but for some reason I got rid of her during that, like, doll purge at some point. It was something I always regretted. I always wanted to find her. Every time I came upon one later on that was this exact version, they had cut hair, or they were like $8 for a naked doll. So when I saw this girl, it was in 2011. We went to this indoor flea market. I saw her at a guy's booth. He had a bunch of, like, boxed 90s Barbies. She was kind of expensive. She was like $20. I saw her and I thought, well, she's probably the closest thing to the KB Toys doll that I'm going to get, and her outfit is the same, and it's really pretty. So Dad bought her for me, and she has, like, the sleepy eyes that can close. Then this girl, I found her a few years ago at the local flea market. A seller had several really nice 90s Barbies, late 90s Barbies, on a blanket on the ground, and I spotted her and Bead Blast Barbie. They were expensive. They were like $6 each, but I was not about to leave her behind. She was wearing her outfit. I think she even had her shoes, so it was worth it. And then my African American doll is such an amazing find. I never thought I would have her. I remember thinking about getting her at KB Toys when I picked out my blonde. I got her this past flea market season in the fall in 2024. Someone had $5 boxed African American Barbies, and I, like, cleared out all of his dolls. I bought, like, I think there were 4 of them. One of my personal childhood favorites is Sweet Treats Barbie. I have 2 blondes and the African American. Strawberry, raspberry, and blackberry. No, her name is not a reference to her skin tone. Colleen just came up with that name because it goes with the berry theme. Someone took it the wrong way. My first video, it's not meant that, like that. I named Strawberry as a kid because she had, like, strawberries on her box or something. I'm pretty sure that's where I got the idea for the name. I remember wanting this doll because I thought she was so gorgeous. I remember seeing her at Toys R Us a lot, and there was this woman at one of the bus stops that my bus would stop at, and I thought she looked exactly like Sweet Treats Barbie, and because I thought she looked so realistic, that's part of why I wanted her. And I did end up getting her at Toys R Us, and my sister and I used to make, like, the icing that you could do with her stuff, and it was like a really gross activity we did all of the time. Yeah, I really loved her, and I would display her in my room when I wasn't playing with her. This lady, she is from the $60 doll bin. I had to reunite her with her outfit. She's still missing the skirt. And then Blackberry is from the Bead Blast Barbie lot that we talked about at the start of the video. I was so excited to find her. I had always wanted the AA version, and you'll note that like they have straight bangs and hers are a little bit deflated because she was in storage, but she has the curly bangs. So they have different hairstyles, but they're all the same country make. Tree Trimming Barbie is from the Filthy Disney Bin of 2011. It was sometime in the fall. My dad took my sister and I to this indoor, quote, yard sale. It was more like a flea market, but it was called an indoor yard sale. It was this tiny, crowded little garage type building, and then outside of it there was a trailer, and in the trailer I found a big tub that was in really bad shape filled with 90s Barbies, and we ended up buying the bin, and the dolls were disgusting. I wanted them for the Disney dolls inside. Most of them had haircuts and were pretty busted, and originally I thought she had a haircut, but I got into the habit very early on of identifying dolls before I, made them as body donors, and I'm glad I did because her outfit was in the bin and everything. She was one of the nicest dolls in that lot. We have Easter Barbie. I got her in 2023 at the local flea market. Someone had a little tub of mainly porcelain dolls, and I just had this like sixth sense that there were fashion dolls, and when I got closer I saw like some tinier bodies in there, and they were $1 each, so I picked off the like ones I didn't have. I'm pretty sure they probably came from a collector of sorts because of all the porcelain dolls and the fact that they were in really nice condition. My two NASCAR Barbies, this one's name is Naomi. This lady over here I had first. I got her in 2015 inside the building at the local flea market. There was a Pioneer Barbie I was interested in buying, and when I saw that she was $5, I was like, oh, she's like a collector Barbie. That's a great deal. And you'll see a lot of these collector dolls at flea markets, and usually people want a lot of money for them. So whenever I find them for really cheap, of course I'm going to get them because they're stellar quality. And she is from the Ken Suitcase bin of 2016. I think she's got the prettier face. We have my X-Files Dana Scully doll. The girl on the left in the wrong outfit, I got her in 2013 or 2014. I got her from a regular seller that used to set up. She was an older woman. She always had like pretty nice dolls for decent prices. They were always dressed up. And I think it was like a buy two for $3 deal. And I chose her because I liked her short haircut. And this lady, I got her from the same person as my Mary Had a Little Lamb doll. She had this set. It was right after she started setting up inside the building at the flea market. She still had some of those attic dolls left over, and I'm a sucker for like celebrity dolls, and my dad and I used to watch a lot of sci-fi together. I don't ever remember watching the X-Files, but I love their little detective uniforms. It's so cute. We have a Ballerina Dreams Barbie. I have two of them. The lady over here is from the $5 bin Bonanza. She was one of the older dolls in there, so obviously she didn't have her outfit. Luckily she doesn't smell like cigarettes anymore, but it was very stinky. And this lady I got in the summer of 2023 from the Crazy for Bratz Kids lot. When we were at the local flea market, I saw a tub, and when I looked inside, I noticed that there were a bunch of Bratz kids and some Bratz dolls, and then there was a smaller container next to it that was loaded with clothes and accessories, and the lady said it was like $10 for all of it. I just about died, and she was one of the Barbies from the lot. I'm guessing she was probably secondhand or some kind of hand-me-down because the Bratz dolls were a lot newer. This is Golden Key Pow Barbie. She was a surprise Christmas gift in 2017. Someone from Colleen's work, back when she worked at the high school, had left this at the desk for her, the front desk, and she doesn't know who gave her the doll, but it was everybody that she works with knows she collects dolls, and I thought that was super cool. We named her Ziyuan after a character from the Mummy movie, third Mummy movie, because we were really into that Mummy series with my dad when we were growing up. We have the lovely Happenin' Hair Barbie. I had Chrissy growing up, and I was just obsessed with this line. I thought that they were so cool, and I had been on the lookout for her for quite some time, and then it was 2021, I think. A seller had some dolls, including a Bicken Cinderella Prince doll and her. It's pretty awesome. I love their color change hair. Butterfly Art Barbie is one of the ones that I would ogle at stores as a kid. And for years, I had her outfit, but I didn't have the doll. And I remember seeing her boxed before, but it was like not the right price or not the right day. So she was a very generous gift in the summer of 2024. The same people who gave me Lainey sent my sister and I 2 huge boxes of dolls. We call it the Biggies and Barbies a lot. And the Barbies were from one of their personal collections. They were duplicates, I think. And it just worked out that a lot of them I already had the outfits to. I love her tan, her Mackie head mold, and of course her tattoos. Riviera Barbie was a gift. She was from the Mountains of Monsters lot in 2023. It's the same person who gave us the Wondrous Welly Wishers lot sent us 2 humongous boxes of dolls that March. So about a month later, I just think she's fantabulous, and I already had her outfit too. I've had this since I was a kid and I had no clue who it went to. I love her super short hair. I always thought Barbies with short hair were like awesome because as a kid, I would try to give them haircuts, and it never really worked out. Puzzle Craze Barbie and Weekend Barbie are, I think, the 2 newest you're going to see in this video. I got them the most recently. So, I've found them at Savers this past April. My sister and I had some really good luck at a local thrift store, and we were feeling kind of like high off of that luck, so we went to Savers and we found quite a few dolls, like some Rainbow High and some Barbies. Now, a lot of the Barbies were really overpriced. Like, some of them were, no joke, like $4 naked, and their heads were busted off in the bag. But these girls were, I think, $3 each, and I immediately recognized them. And my sister really wanted Puzzle Craze, and I wanted Weekend Barbie, and they were both wearing their outfits. And we even got her shoes on Puzzle Craze Barbie. I'm guessing they were from the same home and were displayed, because you can see her outfit's kind of faded, and when I lift up, it might be hard to tell on camera, it's darker pink underneath and the back of her outfit's darker. And then we have WNBA Barbie. I believe I got her in 2015 at the local flea market from a guy who used to set up occasionally. He'd usually have a box of Barbies. The entire box was too much money, but the dolls themselves individually weren't too expensive, and he'd always let us like dress them up and take any loose clothes we wanted and like make them part of the bundle deal. And I recognized her right away, and I remember digging through the bin to find pieces of her clothes. 1999 Wizard of Oz Dorothy. I have 3 of them. Growing up, I remember ogling this line in stores, specifically Dorothy, because I love dolls with 2 braids, and I liked that she came with Toto. This was my first girl. I got her in 2011 at a big outdoor flea market. I saw her on a table next to a zipper case that was full of doll stuff, and I was interested in her, but then I noticed the We 3 Friends case had a bunch of like Mary-Kate and Ashley stuff inside. The seller ended up letting me have Dorothy and the case for $5, and these little bows in her hair were actually from party favors from a baby shower I went to, I think about 2 years later. My second Dorothy I actually got with this nice Glenda over here. They were inside a flea market in late 2011 in the fall. My dad noticed the Wizard of Oz dolls. There was also the Scarecrow at this woman's booth, and he came home because he had been out visiting a friend and stopped in at that flea market. He came home and told me that there was all this doll stuff I would want to check out, and sure enough, when we went there were Wizard of Oz dolls, but there was American Girl stuff, so I got her and this Glenda the same day from the same seller as my Josephina doll named Rosalita and my sister's flea market Molly. They were part of like a bundle deal. And my other lady here, she is the newest one in my collection. I got her in the spring of 2021 at the local flea market. She was in a cardboard box we purchased that had quite a few LOL surprise scraps, so that was called the LOL Flea Market Surprise Lot. And she was kind of a random outlier because she was way older and in much better condition than a lot of the stuff. So my first Glenda here is in less nice condition. I got her at a big outdoor flea market sometime in 2011. It's at a racetrack in a neighboring state. I got her at the same booth as one of my dentist Barbies, as well as some Kelly dolls. She was like $1 and was wearing her outfit, and I was super excited. And I actually ended up getting her a nicer dress later on, so this isn't the one I got with her. And this lady, like I said, I got her with my second Dorothy at that indoor flea market. Celebration cake Barbie. I got her on New Year's Eve day, 2014. We stopped in at a local thrift store that has since closed. It was this crowded little building that when you walked in, it smelled like blueberry muffins and poo, and the toy section was always a complete disaster. But there were always great deals. I could usually get a doll there for less than $1. And I just fell in love with her. She's so gorgeous. We have Cool Clips Barbie. I wanted her as a kid. I'm a sucker for hair gimmick Barbies. I got her during the 2014 flea market season. A seller had her, Cut and Style Chrissy, a Generation Girl Barbie. She had a little group of them, a SpongeBob Barbie, and she said I could have the whole group for $5 because I was originally, I think, just gonna buy her. We have my 3 corduroy cool Barbies. So we have the blonde and the 2 brunettes. So the one in the middle here, she was our childhood doll. Her name is Lizzie. My sister got her for a birthday when we were growing up, and we fought over this doll. We both thought she was magnificent, probably because of VMACI head mold. And you can kind of tell that she's really played with. Like, her hair has seen better days. I boil wash it pretty routinely, but you know, when it's been played with that much, it's not going to be as nice and shiny. And I also had this girl growing up, but I got her in the early 2000s in some random flea market lot. And I must have known that she was in the same line as Lizzie because you can see they have like very similar style facial screenings and the same sculpt. But I didn't get her this outfit until I was an adult collector. I remember getting this in a $2 bag of doll clothes at the local flea market, and I was really excited. And then Elizabeth over here, we had been on the lookout for an upgrade Lizzie since we were kids. I remember seeing one at an indoor flea market when we were kids, like in the early 2000s, but she was naked and I thought about getting her, but I passed and I really regretted it. So when we saw her at the flea market in 2017, the first time we saw her, she was $5, and it was towards like the end of the flea market, so we didn't really want to spend that money because we had already bought other stuff. And then a few weeks later, the seller turned up again, and this time she was $3. We have Dolls of the World, Northwest Coast native. I got her as a kid. She was boxed at an indoor flea market. I remember getting her and I think another one of my other Dolls of the World earlier 90s Barbies at the same time from the same seller. She's one of my favorite Native American Barbies. I love the head mold and her really simple outfit. I put her shawl away. She does have that, and her boots. We have Generation Girl Dance Party Barbie ×2. Generation Girl line is one of the most iconic to me. It reminds me of my childhood. I was obsessed. I had thought about getting the dance party dolls as a kid, but because they were so expensive and that line had cut Anna, who was one of my favorites, I didn't end up buying any of them when they first came out, though I did see them a lot in later years at KB Toys, which is how I got my Tori. But I wanted to collect them as an adult, so I got her in, I think it was the summer of 2014. A seller had her and Tarzan Jane at her booth, and I was so excited. They're both still sealed, and this is like a really delicate outfit you can see. It kind of reminds me of like modern Princess Jasmine, and I just had to get her. And then a couple years later, in 2016, I got my second lady who's modeling the second look, which these skirts come in variations. Sometimes they're like a plain pink denim. She is from the Teresa lot. Hollywood Nails Barbie was a birthday gift my sister received from a friend back when this line was new. I think it might have been the same birthday she got Lizzie. Colleen did not like this Barbie. She preferred the earlier 90s dolls with like the bigger hair and the crimps and like the superstar head mold. When we were kids, that was like what she always preferred, and she still does today. This is like the era of 90s that I really loved as a kid because I thought that they were styled really cool. I've always had a thing for dolls with like purple lipstick, so I was super jealous. So whenever Colleen thought about getting rid of this doll, I talked her out of it, and I played with her all the time. She also has really awesome nail polish, and her little sheer dress was fun to use on its own on our bad guy dolls when we wanted them to dress really risque. I have 2 Millennium Princess Barbies. I actually can't tell them apart. They are subtly different, but I don't remember which one I got first because I got them in really close succession and they are both super special. So one of these ladies I got in the fall of 2011 from my dad. He came home from visiting friends. He had stopped at this quote-unquote indoor yard sale that was more like a flea market than a yard sale, and he saw her and this 2009 Beauty and the Beast deluxe set, and he came home and surprised me with both of them. He got them for a really great deal. This is the same place that later on we got the Filthy Disney bin from. So she meant the world to me. I was really excited because when I was a kid, my dad bought me my first holiday Barbies, kind of in the same way. I was there when he picked them out, but he was the reason I ended up getting them, so it was really special that when I had been collecting for less than a year, he got me one of these ladies. And then the other girl is just as special. Again, I can't tell them apart, but so for Christmas 2012, that was our first Christmas without my dad. He passed away that May, and his best friend Jimmy used to set up and sell stuff at flea markets, and he came over the day before Christmas and surprised me and my sister with this huge Santa sack filled with wrapped gifts, and he must have gotten all of the Barbies from the flea market he set up at, probably like traded some stuff or got a really good deal, and that's where I got my second Millennium Princess. It meant the world to me that he thought of us and did that and wrapped everything and brought it in a Santa sack, and it is always like one of my most special memories of getting dolls. We have 1999 Princess Barbie, which my sister and I have always said she looks older than 1999 because her eyes are a lot bigger. She looks like maybe more like a 97 or a 98 Barbie. I've had her a long time. This is actually her second body donor because she was decapitated when I got her, and then the body donor I gave her when I got her, the arms just broke off randomly in storage. Like that happens sometimes. This plastic gets brittle. So last summer she got a new body. I'm still looking for the right one with the molded slippers, but hey, at least she has a body. So she was from the 60 doll bin that we got on opening day 2013 at the local flea market. We have my two 1999 Rapunzels. These are like the KB Toys versions. This doll has such a warm and fuzzy place in my heart. I got her for my 9th birthday in 2000. My grandmother would give me money for clothes every year because my birthday is in mid-August. It's August 13th. So anytime my grandmother gave me money for my birthday, it was always for school clothes. And my parents always felt bad because that was not the case with my sister, whose birthday is in February. She was given birthday money to spend on whatever she wanted. So my mom would always let me spend a little bit of my birthday money for clothes on dolls. So we went to KB Toys in the mall because that's where I wanted to go. And they had a 2 for $20 deal on this Rapunzel doll and the KB Toys Sleeping Beauty. And I bought both of them with that money, and they were some of my absolute favorites. I remember I had a friend over some years later, and she wanted to cut this doll's hair, and I absolutely refused because she was Rapunzel, and she needed long hair. And I always took really good care of her hair, and I actually have pictures of her with me on that birthday. If you check out, it's an old Dolly Tales Dolls from the Photo album. I have pictures of little 9-year-old me with her in my Sleeping Beauty. And this lady is just as fantastic. I got her in 2013 from the Salvation Army. Back then we didn't really have a lot of good luck. There was like a few years in like 2017, 2018, 2019 where we had a lot of luck at the Salvation Army before it closed. But back then in 2012, 2013, we didn't really find much. And I found a comforter case that was filled with a lot of really nice looking dolls. Most of them were like Barbie or Disney. And she was inside, and I already had her, so you can see I like styled her hair differently, and she did lose a little bit of hair in the front. My two pilot Barbies, this is Patty and this is Pollyanna. So Patty is my childhood doll. I got her for Christmas in 1999. She was a complete surprise. Growing up, my parents always tried to make Christmas special, but obviously like there were some years where money was tighter, and that was one of the years where money was tighter. So because I had asked for my American Girl, my girl of today doll named Angela, GT3, and I wanted Generation Girl Tori. My parents told me that I wasn't going to get anything else because they were expensive, and I was fine with that. So on Christmas morning when I woke up and I found another Barbie box wrapped under the tree and a couple of like little smaller, cheaper things, it like really meant the world to me because I knew, like, I wasn't expecting that, and I was really excited when I found this Barbie. My mom always picked really cool ones, and I loved Patty because she had short hair, and I was always trying to give my dolls haircuts like this, but it never worked out. And then Pollyanna, I got her in the 2016 Teresa lot that I mentioned before. She's prettier and in better condition than Patty, but I don't have enough of the outfit right now for her to wear. This Riviera Barbie is from the 2013 60 doll bin that I mentioned before. I recognized her because I saw her a lot back in the day on my eBay searches, and I had had her outfit since I was a kid. I got it in a random flea market lot, and I love these really basic budget Barbies because I used to get ones like this at KB Toys as a kid because KB Toys was my favorite toy store. The toys were always cheap, they were always out of date, and because of that my dad would let me get more than one. We have my two Toy Story 2 tour guide Barbie dolls. The one on the left here, who's in the right outfit, she does still have her hat. We just took it off because at some point I stitched it back on for display, and then once I put her away I took it off. So I got her, I think, at Toys R Us when I was a kid, not long after the Toy Story 2 movie came out. Of course, like, the fact that Barbie was in that movie was like a complete highlight, and I was so excited when I found out they made a doll of her, and she's super pretty. And then her twin over here, who has wavy hair, it was like that when I got it. The waves have kind of died down a bit. It used to be really wavy because someone had her hair in braids at some point. I got her in the Teresa lot as well. These are my 4 walking Barbie and Chrissy Barbies. So they came with little Chrissy dolls. This set I always wanted as a kid. I loved Chrissy. I loved baby dolls, and I loved that they gave Barbie a legitimate baby sister. And I got to play with one of these dolls at a friend's house. And again, I love dolls with 2 braids, so she was like one of my dreams to get as an adult collector because I had found Chrissy at the flea market as a kid, but not Barbie. So the one over here on the left, I got her first in the fall of 2011 from the Filthy Disney bin. As soon as I saw her, I recognized her. I was so excited. She was one of my favorites from the bin, and I'd actually like hoarded her clothes, or at least this shirt. I found it in the same bin as my childhood Chrissy, so that's why it's really picked at. And then my lady next to her I got in 2015 from the Bead Blast Barbie AA lot, and I ended up reuniting her with this outfit later on. And this gal is from the 2016 Teresa lot we talked about. Again, I had the skirt. I'm still waiting to get her shirt. And of course, the last one, who's in the nicest condition, she even has her shoes, she is my favorite and the most sentimental because she was a Christmas gift in 2021 from my Uncle Ray. So every year since 2013 up until 2022, my Uncle Ray would surprise me and my sister with Barbies he would pick out. And usually they were boxed ones from eBay, but that year he had found some at a thrift store, so we got extras like my Olympic gymnast, my back to school Barbie. We also got a used Totally Hair Barbie, but my favorite was walking Barbie and baby sister Chrissy. I don't know how my Uncle Ray always picks out the best dolls, but he does. I've wanted this set since I was a kid, and even though I had managed to kind of like piece most of it together as an adult collector, it's still like I didn't have a pram that you could actually fully assemble because the one I got used as a kid was missing parts. So, and her outfit's in beautiful condition, and I think she's just the prettiest of the 4. We have the gorgeous Hawaii Barbie. She's also from the Teresa lot, as is Working Woman Barbie. You can see that a lot of the dolls were from similar years in those lots, which, you know, makes sense because a child will be buying Barbies brand new in the store in a similar time frame. I do have part of her swimsuit, but not enough for her to wear. I really like this line. I remember I had Teresa as a kid, and I actually got a Teresa doll in that lot, so that was exciting. And Working Woman Barbie, I actually specifically wanted this doll as a kid, which is no surprise because what Barbie didn't I want? But I liked her concept. I remember seeing, I don't know if it was like commercials or something for it, but I liked her concept of like a reversible outfit. Little did I know she was based on 1984 Day to Night Barbie, who is one of my favorites. And I had pieces of her outfit already, and then I got the skirt, I think, separately. We have Glam and Groom Barbie. I had Chrissy growing up, and sadly I gave her away, which was something I always really regretted. So as an adult collector, I really wanted to collect this line. I'm still missing Chrissy, but I have Teresa and Barbie. I remember paying, I think, like $5 for her used. I think I actually got her from the same seller as my corduroy cool Barbie named Elizabeth, and I think that might be why I didn't buy Elizabeth the first time I saw her, because I didn't want to pay $10 for 2 used Barbies, but she is pristine. Angelic Inspirations Barbie, I have 2 of them, so I think I have them in the right order here. The wings fell off, which is usually how I tell them apart, but the one on the left I got in 2017 from the quote-unquote $5 Ben Bonanza, and this lady actually had her outfit, and she's one of the older ones from that lot and was in better condition, shockingly. Now, this lady, Snowflake Sensation and Blushing Bride Barbie, I got them all together at the flea market in 2020. They are from the quote-unquote Avon Avalanche lot. And I'm a sucker for these like mail-in dolls. I think they're gorgeous, and I always wanted dolls like this as a kid. And I actually cleaned my cousin's now wife, her Angelic Inspirations Barbie many years ago, so I had kind of always been jealous, so I was really excited to have 2 of them. And Snowflake Sensation is really unique looking, and Blushing Bride Barbie, I like how she's sort of like a modern looking bride. She's wearing a sleeker gown and has sleeker hair. We have Cool Skating Barbie, who was a really thoughtful gift. She was part of the Mountains of Monsters lot of 2023, which I don't think we've ever gotten another doll lot that rivaled that's the size of that one. I think there was like 166 salvageable dolls in it. So this really kind lady who had previously given us a couple other lots of dolls surprised us in March that year with 2 enormous boxes of a lot of like thrifted dolls, and I think some of them were from her personal collection too. I think Barbie probably was, because she was in really nice condition, and I used to want this Barbie growing up. I remember seeing commercials for her and thinking she was so cool and modern, though I didn't realize her skates were molded on. If I had known that, I probably wouldn't have wanted her as a kid, because poor Barbie can only roller skate. But you can actually take her little skirt off. It's made to be removable. Pretty Flowers Barbie and XXXOOO Barbie are also both gifts, but they are from the 2024 Biggies and Barbies lot. I had outfits for most of the Barbies. I don't know if that was coincidental or not, but I had her outfit and her outfit. You can see she's kind of a little bit discolored here. But so gorgeous. I always loved the Pretty Flowers line as a kid, and I had like several of this doll's outfit. I think I have like 3 of them, but I had never managed to find the Barbie, and I had found these outfits as a kid at flea markets. I just think she's so cool, and I love the tinsel in her hair. I hope you enjoyed this final installment to my 1990s Barbie collection update. As I said in the beginning, if you are interested in identifying any of your dolls, please check out my Flickr. I'll link it below. You don't need a Flickr to view it. It'll be much easier for you to identify your dolls looking at my photos rather than toggling back and forth in this video. So until next time, love your dolls, love yourself, and love your life.